April 29, 2024, News Report 1. On April 29, 2024, China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian announced that Chinese President Xi Jinping will visit France, Serbia, and Hungary from May 5 to May 10. The visit, which is shorter than expected, will see Xi Jinping hold talks with French President Macron to exchange views on international and regional issues. Additionally, Xi Jinping will visit Serbia after 8 years, meeting with Serbian President Vučić. The final stop is Hungary, an important partner in China's Belt and Road Initiative. The visit is expected to advance bilateral relations. Xi Jinping is scheduled to visit France for 2 days from May 6 to May 7, then Hungary for 3 days from May 8 to May 10. Xi Jinping is expected to leave France for Serbia on May 7 directly, without staying overnight in France. May 7 marks the anniversary of the 1999 U.S. bombing of the Chinese embassy in Yugoslavia. Originally, Xi Jinping was planned to attend a commemorative event in Belgrade that day. This visit will deepen Xi Jinping's relations with France and Hungary. It has been reported that European countries have recently taken action against China's espionage activities, reflecting a changing attitude towards China in Europe. News Report 2. Tesla CEO Elon Musk visited Beijing on April 28 and met with Chinese Premier Li Keqiang. Li Keqiang stated that Tesla's development in China is a successful example of Sino-US economic and trade cooperation. Musk praised the performance of Tesla's Shanghai factory as the best globally, thanks to the efforts of the Chinese team. A few hours later, the China Association of Automobile Manufacturers and the National Internet Emergency Center jointly announced that the electric vehicles produced by Tesla's Shanghai factory meet the requirements for automotive data security, making it the only foreign-funded enterprise certified. Prior to this, most cities in China restricted Tesla vehicles from entering public places such as government agencies, airports, and highways. Tesla's fully automated driving system has not been able to be promoted in China, in part due to a lack of mapping permits. Tesla is now cooperating with Baidu gaining access to its fully automated driving technology, allowing Tesla to lift restrictions in China. This cooperation benefits China's automotive industry but may bring competitive pressure to other competitors. News Report 3. Bloomberg reports that the U.S. State Department has established an 8-person team to assist other countries in dealing with China's economic coercion. The team has provided advice to more than a dozen countries. Led by Assistant Secretary of State Fernandez's China Policy Coordinator Hart, the team operates similarly to a consulting firm. The establishment of the team is due to China's economic pressure on other countries. For example, in 2016, the South Korean government decided to deploy the U.S. THAAD missile defense system, and the Chinese government prevented Chinese tourist groups from going to South Korea and restricted the development of the South Korean entertainment industry in the Chinese market. Another example is that in 2020, Australia requested an investigation into the origin of the COVID-19 virus, and China began imposing trade sanctions on Australia, including coal, wine, and beef products. In addition, after Lithuania approved the establishment of a representative office in Taiwan, China banned imports of Lithuanian goods. The team will help countries analyze their trade situations with China and explore different ways to respond to Chinese coercion, helping these countries find other export markets. If requested, the U.S. will also express its support publicly. News Report 4. According to the Wall Street Journal, the German government is considering relaxing its scrutiny of Chinese investments. Last summer, Germany began drafting a new investment review law, which proposed giving the government the power to screen foreign investors for security risks and expanding the government's review authority to emerging areas such as quantum technology, advanced chips, and artificial intelligence. The bill mentioned China, but later the reference was not clear. However, it is widely believed that the main focus of the scrutiny is China. In addition, the The bill also added a requirement that foreign institutions need government approval when cooperating with German research institutions in key areas. These measures will essentially restrict foreign investment and limit foreign investment in Germany. A German government spokesperson declined to comment on the Wall Street Journal's report. The report states that Germany's ambition to counter China is weakening, which may lead to conflicts with the European Commission. The European Commission has launched an anti-subsidy investigation into Chinese companies and is considering imposing anti-subsidy tariffs on Chinese electric cars. In addition, the German Economic Weekly reported that German Education Minister Watzinger urged German universities to review their cooperation with China. Watzinger stated that the recent arrest of 3 Germans on suspicion of espionage in China once again proves that caution must be exercised in dealing with China. Watzinger is a member of the Free Democratic Party, and his remarks represent the views of the party. Currently, the German government is composed of a coalition of 3 parties, and the differences between them are growing. News Report 5. After U.S. Secretary of State Blinken's visit to China, the PLA immediately resumed military activities around the Taiwan Strait. According to Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense, on April 28, 22 PLA aircraft and 4 warships were active around the Taiwan Strait, with 12 aircraft crossing the median line of the strait, some as close as 37 nautical miles from Keelung, Taiwan, a 4-minute flight to the presidential palace. In addition, photos on Twitter showed that when Blinken left Beijing, no Chinese officials saw him off, only Burns, indicating that the Chinese side was very unhappy with Blinken's visit to China, even ignoring basic diplomatic etiquette. On the other hand, during the visit of 18 Kuomintang legislators to China, China announced 2 so-called pro-Taiwan policies. The first is to approve residents of Fujian to travel to Matsu, and the second is to resume the export of pomelos from Fujian to Taiwan. The Kuomintang claimed these policies as their achievements, but this was considered absurd. Some people believe that Fujian residents traveling to Matsu is something that should have been done long ago. The resumption of pomelo exports seems to be only an insult to Taiwan's exporters, which is ridiculous. These actions are considered shameless by the Kuomintang, only for the sake of money. News Report 6. According to CNA, the United States and Taiwan held a new round of substantive negotiations for the 21st Century Trade Initiative, which took place in Taipei. The talks, led by the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative and the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representative Office in the United States, were the highest-level meeting, focusing on topics such as agriculture, labor, and the environment. The Office of the U.S. Trade Representative has released a summary of the negotiations, including increasing transparency in agricultural import permits, enhancing environmental standards, and improving the rights of foreign workers. The U.S. Trade Representative's office stated that the U.S. and Taiwan will promote the establishment of a cooperation mechanism to ensure food security, guarantee the smooth operation of the agricultural supply chain, and enhance productivity through the development of agricultural technology. It is expected that this trade negotiation will not change the tariffs on Taiwan's exports to the United States, but will strengthen economic ties between the U.S. and Taiwan, opening up Taiwan to export more goods to the United States and enhancing Taiwan's ability to deal with economic pressure from China. In June of last year, the U.S. and Taiwan signed the first batch of agreements under the 21st Century Trade Initiative, mainly covering customs and trade facilitation, good governance, services, anti-corruption, and small and medium-sized enterprises. The second phase involves agriculture, labor, and environmental issues. The first negotiation of the second phase was held in Washington, D.C., in August last year, and it has now entered the second phase. If Taiwan and the United States sign a free trade agreement, it would mean huge gains, as Taiwan would be integrated into the entire U.S. economic sphere, which is of great significance to Taiwan. News Report 7. According to NHK, 5 Japanese lawmakers encountered Chinese Coast Guard vessels while inspecting the waters around the Senkaku Islands on April 27, resulting in a tense situation. The two ships were almost side by side, with the Chinese Coast Guard vessel repeatedly approaching the Japanese lawmakers' inspection ship, at one point coming within a kilometer. The Japan Coast Guard patrol boat subsequently blocked the Chinese Coast Guard vessel and issued warnings in Chinese and Japanese via electronic bulletin board. The Japanese lawmakers returned after 4 hours in the waters around the Senkaku Islands, but the Chinese Coast Guard vessel continued to track them. The purpose of this inspection was to investigate the ecological environment of the Senkaku Islands, as some experts have pointed out significant changes. However, due to the interference of the Coast Guard vessels, some arrangements were cancelled. Among the lawmakers participating in the inspection was former Defense Minister Inada Tomomi, who stated that she could not tolerate Chinese Coast Guard vessels entering Japanese waters as if they were returning to their own homes. The report points out that China not only has sovereignty conflicts with Japan in the East China Sea but also has sovereignty conflicts with the Philippines in the South China Sea. Philippine ambassador to the United States Romualdez stated in an interview that with U.S. assistance, the Philippines aims to modernize its military by 2028 to cope with any danger in the South China Sea. This means that Philippine President Marcos must be determined to complete the modernization of the military by the end of his term. The United States currently provides $500 million in military aid to the Philippines through the Foreign Military Financing Program, totaling $2.5 billion in aid to the Philippines by 2029. The Philippine Defense Minister has listed the needs of the Philippine Armed Forces, focusing on the development of maritime forces, especially the Navy and the Coast Guard, to deal with China. News Report 8. Admiral Aquilino, the commander of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, recently told the Financial Times that China is adopting a strategy of boiling the frog slowly, gradually intensifying tensions in the Indo-Pacific region. He pointed out that this strategy means that China is increasing the risk of military activities gradually to intensify tensions, underestimating the risks until irreversible consequences occur. Aquilino will step down as commander of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command this week, to be succeeded by Admiral Papireau of the Pacific Fleet. Aquilino also stated that during his tenure as commander of the Indo-Pacific Command, China has become increasingly aggressive and bold, and the risks have also increased. He emphasized that China is implementing a strategy of might makes right and is confident it can escape all consequences. To prevent conflict with China, the United States must quickly help its allies modernize their militaries, including the Philippines. According to naval news reports, China's aircraft carrier Fujian recently left its berth, possibly for its first sea trial. The sea trial is a stage of ship construction. After construction completion and system installation, the ship will undergo port and dock trials, followed by sea trials. Fujian has been under construction for over 6 years and is expected to enter service in 2026. In addition, a video recently aired on CCTV showed that 2 PLA J-11 fighters encountered 4 US F-18 Hornets in the South China Sea. The video shows the two sides engaging in aerial confrontations, with the PLA fighters being locked on by the US radar. Radar lock-on means that the U.S. is targeting the PLA fighters and can fire at any time. News Report 9. According to Axios, Israel has proposed a new ceasefire agreement, including discussing the restoration of sustainable calm in Gaza after the release of hostages. This is the first time Israel has expressed willingness to discuss a ceasefire agreement to end the war. Ceasefire negotiations have been going on for several months but are currently deadlocked. Israeli Foreign Minister Katz stated that if a ceasefire agreement is reached, the Israeli army will temporarily suspend ground operations in Rafah, as releasing the kidnapped hostages is currently the top priority. An Egyptian delegation has negotiated with Israel and conveyed ceasefire demands to Hamas. Hamas has stated that it has received Israel's ceasefire agreement and is studying it. U.S. President Biden spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu about the Gaza ceasefire agreement, reiterating his commitment to Israel's security and explicitly opposing Israel's ground offensive in Rafah, as it could endanger Palestinians. Meanwhile, there have been large-scale demonstrations in the United States, possibly related to the U.S. and Israeli discussions to delay the ground offensive in Rafah. News Report 10. According to Nikkei Asia, at 10 a.m. on April 29, the yen exchange rate fell below the 160 mark, hitting a new low in 34 years. However, by just after 1 p.m., the yen exchange rate had rebounded back to 155. There are rumors in the market that the Japanese government and the Bank of Japan intervened, but the Ministry of Finance declined to comment. Japan's monetary policy has led to further depreciation of the yen. First, the Bank of Japan decided to maintain its current monetary policy at its monetary policy meeting on April 26, with a target for the policy rate between 0 and 0.1. Second, there were expectations in the market that the Fed would maintain its policy rate target between 0 and 0.1 for a longer period, leading to an expansion of the interest rate differential between the dollar and the yen, prompting the yen to depreciate. In addition, April 29 was a holiday in Japan, resulting in a significant reduction in the operations of Japanese export companies buying yen, making the yen exchange rate more volatile. Overall, the depreciation of the yen is beneficial for Japan, as it can attract tourists and promote exports, helping to consolidate its economic status. In contrast, China is facing pressure on its exchange rate, as its monetary policy and economic situation are different from Japan's. News Report 11. The Chinese National Immigration Administration announced on April 28 that, starting from May 6, the visa-free period for business trips to Hong Kong will be extended from 7 days to 14 days. This new measure will allow enterprises to stay in Hong Kong for a longer period of time. Business visas to Hong Kong and Macau can be applied for nationwide and are mainly used for business activities. Applicants can submit their applications through smart visa devices, not limited to their place of household registration. In addition, as of mid-April this year, 18,000 people have held talent visas to Hong Kong and Macau. News Report 12. According to Sina Finance, on April 28, Chongqing Gas Company, a subsidiary of China Resources, admitted that, after an investigation by the inspection team, they had overcharged 1182 households a total of 2.85 million yuan for gas fees. Chongqing residents found a significant increase in gas bills when they received their gas bills in April, with some even more than 4 times higher than usual. This has sparked public anger and questions about whether the gas company manipulated gas meter readings remotely. The Chongqing municipal government organized an inspection team to investigate on April 19, and the investigation results showed that there were problems with the gas company's pricing policy, but it was not clear whether there was manipulation of gas meters. This incident has reminded people of an incident in Zhengzhou in May last year, where some hotpot restaurants' gas meters were tampered with, leading to the arrest of 25 people by the Zhengzhou city government, one of whom was sentenced to 10 years and 3 months in prison. This incident exposed some misconduct by state-owned enterprises, such as Chongqing Gas stealing gas from residents and only refunding them.